podcast has adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Rig and Radio. We got a new setup for you. We're coming to you live from Riverside. I'm down here in Nicaragua, just taking some R&R, but we got a special guest here today for you, and we hope everything turns out good. It's the infamous Lord Longrod. So, how about you introduce yourself? Who are you? What's your handle? What are you doing? What have you done? And what are you gonna do?
Well, I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Lord Longrod on Instagram and TikTok. Started doing this about 9 months ago through the advice of a bunch of people. I used to have a Snapchat account, had about 2,000 people on it at one point, and I decided to go on TikTok, and it just blew up. The first couple of weeks was pretty wild. I didn't realize it because I'm an older fella too, and just turned 38, not into the young social media scene like some people are. So I didn't realize how the traction that it would get. I try and record as much as I can. Obviously, it's difficult. I'm a father and stuff like that, and I live out in BC, so I work 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Usually do all my recording at work because when I'm out here, it's flat out busy with plumbing and family and shit like that. But yeah, no, I want to try and build it up a little bit bigger, Like I want to start doing a little bit more and venturing out into, like doing more podcasting. I want to try and start my own podcast eventually. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, you guys see it with the social media game. That's why people start this stuff, networking and branching out. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in it.
Sure. And I heard some of your rants and raves there. You're pretty good. You got the gift of the gab. Good lingo. I like it. I like what I hear there for sure. And I'm constantly checking you out as well. And
perfect.
And I don't know if you know who we are, but we just started the podcasting as well. I'm an old school rig hand from a long time ago and worked overseas and worked in Canada. And I've seen quite a bit of stuff, and I've wrecked more shit than I care to even remember. I've seen a lot of accidents, and I've seen a lot of good people. So that's kind of our rant. And we go from old to the new, eh? We're bridging the gap between the way it was to the way it is now. And a lot of funny stories, a lot of unbelievable stories, but good stories, bad stories, the mud and the guts and the blood and the beer, I guess.
For sure, man, for sure. Like it is, like you say, between the young and the old, it's pretty wild seeing the generational change from even workers now, like guys working. Such soft fucking pussies out in the world these days, man. It actually drives me insane. You got guys, the first question out of their mouth on site is when's breaks? And, some of these guys, like I work for a construction outfit up north, and there's some days obviously that you're sitting on your ass, but there's some days, when you got crane work going on, or, you got subcontractors in there that are charging you time and material, like you got to get shit done. The last thing that I'm caring about is when your breaks are. And these fucking young kids want to sit on their phones, and the work ethic. Like I grew up on a farm in central Alberta.
That's actually a good start. Why don't we start where you grew up on a farm in central Alberta, and so farm kid, always a solid guy to, good work ethic there. I grew up on the farm as well, a little bit northern Alberta, but so farm kid, and then where did you go from there?
So yeah, I grew up in Stony Plain actually. So just west of Stony Plain. Lived on the farm till I was 16, then I moved away to play some hockey. Played pretty high level hockey, junior hockey. Actually, my little cousin plays for the Colorado Avalanche.
He was an Oiler, I think, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And then he went to Pittsburgh this year, and now Colorado. So
let's touch bit into that, because that's a whole operation there.
Yeah.
But, this is more about you and whatnot. So you played juniors. That's a pat on the back right there. A lot of guys don't even make it to juniors, and that's tough stuff. I know the NHL is hard, but I'll tell you, juniors is hard go-getters. I never made it there myself. I just played Bush League when we had a hockey team in northern Alberta, but always heavy duty respect for the juniors and anybody that made it there.
Yeah, I would rather go and watch junior hockey than professional hockey, to be honest with you. Like the kids play with heart, and because they know it's their dream to make it somewhere, right? So they want to actually put out and show out. It's clear as day. You watch the NHL, these guys don't have the drive and the determination. Like, I love watching the World Juniors at Christmas time and stuff. But yeah, no, grew up playing hockey on the farm. My dad raised me and my sister, so I just come from a single family there. And yeah, I just love country living. That's what I'm hoping to get for my family out here. I got another daughter coming in August.
Congrats.
Yes.
Did you go out into the oil field, or where did you? What's your forte out in the field?
So I started. I've actually got my Class A gas fitting apprenticeship and plumbing apprenticeship on the go, but I started pipelining right out of high school. In between plumbing, because my dad's a plumber and a gas fitter too. So I started pipelining with Flint up at Foster Creek at the Air Weapons Range in Bonnyville. Pipelined with them for a few years, and I worked with Scottapole out of Rocky Mountain House.
Right on.
And then I just transitioned into full-time plumbing for a few years, and then made my way back up north into to Albion Sands there and Horizon CNRL. Obviously not the greatest places to be if you've ever heard anything about CNRL.
I have actually worked for CNRL, yeah. But I worked for CNRL up in the Helmet.
Okay, yeah. Where's that?
The Helmet Highway. It's past Fort St. John there.
Oh,
up towards
Jesus, yeah.
Chetwynd. They still got one bridge. It's a one-way bridge, and the train runs on the bridge, and it's the road. And that's how you get into the Helmet. Coming out of there in the spring, it's hit or miss. You might make your own.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I got a few buddies that are bed truckers and stuff too there. So yeah, I swamped on a bed truck for a couple seasons, and I also was a swamper on a back truck too, doing tank cleaning and rig cleaning and stuff like that. So I've kind of touched on everything in the oil field. Obviously, a lot of rural Albertan kids get into that. But yeah, my old man was pretty adamant that you get some type of trade to fall back on just in case something goes squirrely on you or goes haywire. So yeah, no, I ended up with the trade, and then I ended up back up north in 2017, and been there on and off ever since. When my daughter was born, I worked out at the pulp mill here for about 8 months and got a real culture change. Have you ever worked Union BC job before?
No, I have not. Talk about, but that's pretty interesting, something you said, and I hope people take note of that. Have a fucking backup plan, because you never know what's going to happen. That oil field business, anything, whether it's you're a pipeliner, oil field rigger, trucker, anything. It's up and down like a bride's pajamas.
Yeah.
1 year, like farming, 1 year feast, the next year family. So
it is, yeah.
Interesting what you said. You started out, you got out in the oil field, and then you took a little time off, and not necessarily time off. You went out for the big money. I know the money you guys make, and then you came back and you were a plumber, good paying job, and then back out to the oil field. In the industry, we'll say, and here you are now. So that's really good. What's next for you? Where are you looking?
Yeah, so actually out here on the coast, I've got a plumbing company that I've kind of got up and running, the Plum Digger, number one in the number two business here. So I've got that on the go, and I'm still up north doing my 14 and 14s in Albion there. I don't plan on leaving anytime. The money's just too steady, and you know it as well as anybody. When you get used to that paycheck, it's pretty hard to cut that out. I eventually want to be out here full time, running the plumbing company and get people to work for you to make you your money, right? Like, I don't want to be breaking my back working for the rest of my life. Nobody wants to be doing that, eh?
It'll be broken by the time you get there anyway. So you'll just be
100%. Well, yeah, that's a whole other issue. Is I've got more metal and plates and screws in my body than I think a robot would have, just from various injuries and stuff. So yeah, I eventually want to get off the tools and be into a full-time ownership role, so a guy's not crippled when he's 65 years old.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so that's a great resume or CV already. And now you're doing a bit of social media. You're going great. Like I said, you got the gift of the gab and great lingo. Where did you get the name Lord Longrod? And
well,
say whatever you need to, buddy. You got Big Hog. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I started with, like I said, with the Snapchat account and called my name was Long Rod Von Hugendong, and yeah, tried to put that out onto my handle, and it didn't work. So I don't know, man. It just came organically to me, and it was actually a girl, a friend of mine, Alana, that picked out the name and rolled with it there, and now all of a sudden, man, like I went to the River Cree last week and watched this Ice Wars, bare knuckle fighting Ice Wars. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it's wild, man. Each other, but
I'm
yeah,
gonna
no,
have to check it out.
it's wild. But yeah, no, I got guys yelling my name, yelling Long Rod. You know, it's I don't know. I like it. It's stuck and it works for me too, right? Like it's not too vulgar. You don't want to make anything too vulgar, but it's catchy enough.
As far as the nickname pertaining to a body appendage, I haven't heard too many. I haven't heard Lord Longrod before, but I have heard Ukrainians use the Great Kazansky, and Orientals they use the 10-inch Gisha Monster. But you know,
yeah,
all the
for
same.
sure. Yeah,
No, I haven't heard of that ice bare knuckle fighting, but I just noticed something on the social media. They got those enhanced games. Have you seen that? You can use as much steroids as you want, anything.
Yes. There's a guy out of California, I think, is the guy who's running it. I heard about this last year, and I think it's the greatest idea ever. Could you imagine some of the guys that you've worked with over the years? Like I got buddies that are drillers right now. I got two buddies that are drilling, and they send me videos every day. We're back and forth, and I see some of the juice monkeys they got working for them.
Yeah.
Man, I would pay. It's priceless to watch something like that. Would be absolutely phenomenal. Guys just juiced out of their minds, pounding the shit out of each other, or doing, throwing javelin, throwing hammer disc, or whatever the fuck it is, man. Just it would be unreal.
I don't know how far the guy swam, but he already broke the world record in swimming. Okay, yeah, juiced right up. And there was that guy. I can't remember who he was, but he was on the Game of Thrones. He was that giant guy on the Game of Thrones. He tried for the world record for the deadlift. He didn't quite make it, but that's something to watch, anyways.
For sure, yeah.
Hey, what's the most unhinged DM that you ever got from TikTok? Any
unhinged
craziness?
DMs? I get them every single day, man. There was this guy, last name Miller, that lives on Vancouver Island. This guy's goal in life is to try and ruin me on social media, and this is the type of people that I can't stand. Buddy, if you don't like what I got to say, fucking scroll on. It's just as easy to move your finger up. Scroll the fuck on. For about a month, every single day, sending me messages telling me that he's going to get a hold of my employer. He's getting a hold of my wife. He's getting a hold of my dad. He's getting a hold of this. He's seen one of my posts because my cousin passed away from drinking and driving when I was 17, 20 years ago. And this guy started berating my dead family. Like, it's nuts. And then I'll tell you one more that I just got last week. Was a horse lady from down southern Alberta. I won't mention her handle or her name, but I made it quite clear that I'm happily married and I love my wife and my children. And she's adamant on coming up and giving me a nice massage. I finally had to say, like, listen, lady, this is weird. I don't want to, break your heart or anything, but the chances of you ever laying your fucking pecker tongs on a part of my body are 0 to nil, man. So if you don't mind just moving along, that would be great.
Yeah, I don't know what it is that they think they can get away with. It's everybody. I'm kind of glad that you did mention Miller, because I don't know if you've seen any of our podcasts. We name names, right? First and last. Because you know what? It fucking happened. This is the way it is. And any of those guys, anybody that wants to come on our podcast, we want them on.
Absolutely.
We got the podcast in Edmonton. When you're ever in Edmonton, come down. We'll do a live one. And, anybody that's got a naysayer or got something to say, we'll either take them down or we'll prove them wrong. Because
absolutely,
this is what's happening. This is the truth. As you know yourself, you're a straight shooter, and that's the way it is.
Well, it's just like this. It's just like this whole Alberta separatism thing. I don't know where you stand on it myself. I'm sick and tired of watching my paycheck go down the drain and sent to places like Ukraine and sent to fucking gender neutral rice farming in fucking Vietnam. What is that? Like $7 million to gender neutral rice farm? Get out of here, man! Like, I'm so sick of this shit. It's fucking just. It's disturbing, and you got kids too, and all I can think about is my children in the future having to pay for these fucking buffoons and their absolute lunacy in finance. It's wild to see. So I think that Alberta should separate. Now all of this lawyer lingo coming down the pipe that they're stopping it because of the First Nations people. I think it's absolute bullshit, man. And you know, and they say that it's anti-democracy. That's the biggest thing. Fascism and all these fucking words that these people are using now that they don't even know the meaning to. They just put them on a fucking piece of poster paper and chant around the streets screaming and hollering. Half these dummies don't even know what the hell they're screaming about.
They're just bandwagoners.
Big time. Yeah, it is. That's all it is. And I'm pretty sure they're all paid.
I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to ask you about what your view was on it. I mean, we're not really a political channel or anything like that, but everybody's got a view on something, right? And you're a hard worker, you're out in the industry, and that's your view. You know, I have my own views on everything as well. I don't know what's right or wrong. I'm sick of it as well. I'm up in Nicaragua for a reason. But as far as separating, you know, and being in the industry, we paid a lot of taxes our life. We paid the maximum amount. Let's face it.
Yeah.
We paid over the amount, right?
Absolutely.
No matter which way you want to spin it. And it's a hard pill to swallow to know that when a guy turns 65, he's going to get, in one sense, he's going to get the same as everybody else. You get your CCP pension, you get a few pensions, right? And the government check is going to be exactly the same as some of the others. That's a really tough pill to swallow. So, you know, there's things like that. And as far as Alberta contributing with our oil and gas, and, you know, even Saskatchewan with the farming, and BC has, you know, the logging industry. But I think it would be great in a lot of ways. But the only thing I'm hesitant about is I've been all over the world. I've seen a lot of things, right? And down in the Middle East, look at what happens when you break up all of these little places like Iran, Iraq. I mean, Kurdistan, for God's sakes, they still think that's part of Iraq. You know, what are they fighting over? A picket fence. You get all of these tiny little countries, and sooner or later they're going to start scrapping, and it happens. It just happens, and that's what I would be afraid of.
Being landlocked.
Yeah.
Like Alberta, that is the one thing that being landlocked and having that, like in BC here, the premier BC, Eby, is an absolute fucking nightmare, and he has every bone in his body is anti-Alberta. So I definitely understand that point of view too. And I also, from moving out here, I kind of see things through a different lens now. Like, I grew up a hardcore conservative family. My little grandmother and my grandfather, they just passed away last year, but living on the farm, 95 years old and 92, never left the farm until their last 6 months of their lives. They've been on the farm their whole life. And I had to listen to my grandma every single day I went into the house. That cocksucker Trudeau, that, just every single day. So I get, you know, their frustrations. And I also see, like you brought up the CPP and everything like that. Like, it is a tough pill to swallow, but who's to say if Alberta separates, what happens then, right? Like, you might be shit out of luck for anything. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure once we start exporting oil and gas, you know, we'll put a pipeline right down the center to the States and start running some LNG, you know?
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing too, yeah.
Liquid gas. We don't need that port for too many things, you know? We might not get a salmon or a lobster right away, but we'll start pumping out some oil and gas, and we'll start getting paid for it. But, you know, it's half of one and 10 of the other things. So, you know, like I said, everybody's got their opinion. That's the only trouble I can see is splitting into little places.
I was just going to touch on the LNG thing there for you. So they've got the LNG plant going up in Squamish right now. It's just down the road from where I'm at, just a quick ferry ride across. So growing up as a gas fitter and realizing I know a lot about LNG and how it's, you know, like fracking and everything like that, the caverns in Fort Saskatchewan. And all these lunatic left-wingers that think that there's not enough LNG or that we're going to run out of natural gas have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. Yeah. There's enough LNG just in the caverns in Fort Saskatchewan and run Alberta for 300 years. And that's just one spot.
I did touch base on that a little while ago, and I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine here, and this fossil fuel and the oil and gas, they think we're going to run out of that. They're really talking with airspace in their head. They don't really know what they're discussing. They have no idea what's down there, and but that's a whole nother story. Back to working. What's the one person that you've seen in your field or out in the rig that you should have never really been there? Have you ever had anything like that happen?
Oh man.
Maybe a guy, a supervisor, or maybe a green guy. Green guy, you can see they come right away. But I've come into a lot of supervisors that should have never ever been there.
There was, well, obviously the nepotism out in the oil field too. Like name hiring is a big thing out in the industry. And you got guys that their dad's a push or their dad's superintendent or whatever. And you see some of these guys that don't have a fucking clue. Or you got, there was one guy that come on site, and this is when I was pipelining actually, as QC on the pipeline. And this guy was so educated, he had a wallet full of tickets and wallet full of education, but he's never been in the real world. And I've run into guys like this all over the place, where you got these guys that have never picked up a fucking tool in their life, but they've read every fucking book on how to do everything and don't have a fucking clue. And you got guys that'll never deviate from a plan because they don't have real world experience on how to fucking do something. I've had my fair share. I just had a supervisor actually that, the guy, it was in the right place at the right time, never really done construction in his life. He can't even frame a wall. He can't put a door in. Like, there's just things that this guy has no fucking clue what he's doing. And it's the gift of the gab. It's the bullshitting, man. It's if you can get by bullshitting, in the oil field, sometimes it works for you and sometimes it doesn't. And it's worked out for him. And he actually just got let go. After 11 years of fucking failing miserably and us bitching about it. And finally they took some action, but it's a comfort thing too. A lot of people can't stand seeing the money stop rolling in, and they don't want to have to retrain somebody for a supervision role. So yeah, it's fucking pathetic to see, man. And then not only that, they rub the money in your fucking face and shit too. And it just drives a guy up the wall. So.
Well, I just worked for a friend of mine that I met in Brazil, and he made some pretty good sense of that to me. Like, you're right about one thing, there's people that shouldn't be there if they can't do the job. But then there's these book smart people. There's a place for them as well. And I asked him one time, he had just like a skeleton crew. We're drilling this wells, we're using Excalibur. I said, how are you doing all this? He said, well, I'm doing all the programs. He says, I'm making this, I'm making that. I'll do the fracking. I'll do it all myself. I said, well, don't you worry about this, and that? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, what's going on the rig, and how we're leaving these wells, and we got to be with the code of Alberta, and regulations. He says, no. He said, I don't worry about that at all. That's what you worry about. And he says, I trust you, and that's your job.
Yeah.
And he just, so there is a place for engineers and book smart people, but definitely not with the hands-on equipment.
Yeah, for sure.
Funny story. You mentioned framers and guys that can't even build a wall. When I wasn't working on the rig, I used to frame and build houses for uncle of mine. His name was Hugh Mercier. He was a professional boxer, fought Shaballo, and built houses and anything, underpasses, doctors' offices, and whatnot. And I remember we were building this one house, and we couldn't get anybody. And they were go hard, retard. Everybody was running. So we hired some guys from Saskatchewan, a couple of framers. They came down and they worked for a couple of days. And this guy was like 67 years old, but he was like 6'4", just 300 pounds, just a massive monster of a man. And he walks up to this one guy. This one kid was about 35 years old, and he looks at him and he says, hey, let me see that fucking hammer of yours there. And the kid gives him this hammer. He's like 35 years old. He's a big kid. He came all the way from Saskatchewan. He took that fucking hammer and he threw that fucking thing. I don't know where it landed, a couple miles away probably. And he says, now go get a fucking new one. He says, because that one ain't working. Get the fuck out of here. And that's the way he was. Right. But I hear you on that. Hey, let's have some rapid fire questions here. Just a few words if you could answer them. You ready?
Yeah, you bet.
What's the toughest job you ever had?
Swamping on the back truck for sure.
Okay, good. I think that a lot of people will agree with that. Was there ever a hitch where you seriously questioned your own choices?
100%. Absolutely, man.
Every fucking time you leave the house.
Absolutely, man. Every time I'm on the ferry going across to the fucking go to work, I'm thinking of what the fuck I'm doing with myself. Yeah.
Okay. What's the funniest thing you ever seen or happened to you on a work site?
A guy from Tennessee that came to work dead of winter, minus 40, bitching. He was there for 3 days. I walked around the corner, heard this, and I walk around the corner, and he's got a hammer up against the wall, and he's got his hand up against an I-beam, breaking his own hand to try and get a WCB case so he didn't have to work in Alberta, man. Not only did he have to go get surgery, but yeah, he never got WCB.
That's tough sledding there.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best thing and the worst thing about Fort McMurray?
The best thing is the money. Obviously, everybody will tell you that 11 times out of 10. And the worst thing is you don't know if you're in Somalia or in Newfoundland every time you go to town.
Yeah. Same with Brooks, Alberta, and that meat packing plant there. You never know what's going on. The whole town of Brooks is from Somalia.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to work in Canada?
Oh, the best place to work in Canada?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say I worked in Rocky Mountain House for a while, and west of Rocky, unreal country, man. It's like I'm living where I am now is nice working out here, but just the mountains and the foothills going into Nordegg, west of Rocky is unreal country, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. You're right on that one. I wouldn't challenge you on that one, that's for sure. You got any advice for a younger guy working in the field that he needs to hear from Lord Longrod?
Younger advice, less talking, more work. And when people say there is no such thing as a stupid question, that's fucking bullshit. There is stupid questions. There's a lot of stupid questions. So most of the time, if you're new to the industry, pay attention, observe, and actually think with your brain instead of fucking asking dumb questions as a scapegoat to make stupid decisions.
I think we can sum that one up as head down, ass up, and no verbal diarrhea.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's good for rapid fire questions. So you want to talk Oilers? What do you think of the trade, the goalie? I think we got a goalie and we traded your cousin away and whatnot. What do you think's next for the Oilers?
Well, I think personally, Knobloch isn't the coach that can run the team. I got a lot of opinions on this. So I'm a pretty savvy hockey guy, eh? So I think firing Knobloch probably was one of the things that needed to happen. But also in saying that, Ken Holland, when he was GM of the team, he built a very solid roster. Sure, he made some questionable moves, Jack Campbell, but for the most part, he built a winning team. In 2024, their first cup final appearance, that team was built to win. I thought for sure if they would have had decent goaltending, like Skinner isn't that bad. I will put that out there right now. I'm a Stu Skinner guy, somewhat, not as hardcore as some, but the way Jeff Jackson, when he took over the team as president of hockey ops and hired Stan Bowman did the same thing to the Chicago Blackhawks back, but he took over from Dale Talon after they won their cups. Dismantled the team. We talked about nepotism hires earlier. Stan Bowman is the son of Scotty Bowman. He's there for his name. He's not there because of credentials and experience. I personally believe he's an absolute dog shit GM. And in order for them to flourish and succeed, they need to get rid of him. The stigma around him in the NHL, too, because of that incident in Chicago. If you've seen, not many teams are willing to work with that guy. Trade-wise, there's not many teams willing to work with him, and we don't need to get into that incident at all. But yeah, I just think that the team has really took a turn for the worst, and they only have maybe 2 years left of McDavid, unless they can drastically change something. Unfortunately, he's gone.
McDavid's McJesus there, but I mean, no man is an island. You can't win with just one guy. And I'm not saying we don't have good players. That's for sure. We've probably got a couple of the best players in the league. But on GMs, who do you think was the best GM of all time that you feel?
Best GM of all time? I'd have to say, well, this year too, like the Colorado with taking Brett on, they've done good with McFarland. But back, I'm a Colorado guy. I've got a jersey from the '96 Cup winning team on the wall right there, signed in the glass and everything. And I've been a Colorado fan my whole life. In '96, when Pierre Lacroix took over, came from the Nordiques to the Avalanche and put together that team from '96 and the team in 2000 that won, I would have to say he's probably the number one GM in the league. He made some deals to get Forsberg, to pick up Patrick Waugh from the Canadians. Like, he's probably got to be my number one GM of all time.
I'm gonna have to go with Slats. Glenn Sather
But
myself.
yeah.
I gotta say that guy was a magician with making trades, this and that. Okay, what do they got to do? What do they got to do next year aside from make some serious changes in the office? Obviously,
I think they got to bring in a coach like look what Tortorella's doing with Vegas right now. They got to bring in a guy that doesn't let the I've got a little bit of an inside scoop compared to other people, and right now the inmates are running the asylum in Edmonton. You got Nurse, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hopkins that are pretty much making managerial decisions there, and people can challenge me on that all they want, but it's pretty evident. Like, Nurse is the biggest pylon. That's the worst contract in the league. It handcuffed the Oilers right from day one. So yeah, they got to get a coach like Tortorella.
Good for him, bad for us.
Well, yeah, and right, you can't fault a guy for making money. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, they got to get a coach that's got a backbone. Like, I don't think Berube's the guy for the job, but a guy like Cassidy or a guy similar to Tortorella that's going to put these guys in their place. Like, you just because you're a star doesn't mean you don't have to buy into a system. And some of these coaches have been around thousands of games. They know what they're talking about. And Knobloch was McDavid's old coach. Jeff Jackson is McDavid's ex-agent. Like, there's things that have happened that it's just the writing is just too clear to see. That was obviously McDavid had a lot of pull with these decisions.
Man, you would think Katz would have some advisors and put the hammer down on some of that shit, but I'm not involved in that. I don't really know how it goes. Maybe his hands are tied as well. But It's sad to see. It's really sad to see,
A real gut punch the last 2 years watching the Cup final, and especially the one where they came back from 3-0 down and forced Game 7 against Florida, and they lost 2-1. I've never been so. And then like with Brett, with my cousin, he made the Cup final with Montreal in the COVID year, and then he made 2 with Edmonton, and now I can't see Colorado coming back now. Like, last night they lost 5-3. Now they're down 3-0 to Vegas. I can't see a world where they win 4 straight, especially with Makar and McKinnon now hurt.
Who's your bet for the Cup this year?
I was with Colorado. I put down money on it. I put down cash on it a long time ago, and I'm stunned. Like, last night I sat here and I just sit in the basement, just staring at the wall, wondering what in the fuck is going on. Like, it's just, it's tough. But this is the thing about playoff hockey that makes it really exciting, is that when you get hot and you get on a heater, you get a good goalie like Carter Hart, that he's on fire and he's just out playing Wedgwood, and so now I got to go with Montreal.
A lot of people were saying Montreal right off the bat. I asked a friend of mine right in the early part of the season there, Redford Swan, and he said Montreal right off the bat. And he's not too far off with that. He's a bit of a gambler too. I hope he puts some money on it.
Yeah, that would be. Montreal's a pretty young, fast team. They're going to be good for years to come, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you got maybe a girl? Did you see a daughter coming?
I do. Yeah, I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter right now, Mila, and we've got another one coming in August. So my wife we're gearing up. We've been getting some stuff done up in the bedrooms upstairs. But yeah, no, I've my wild party days from back in the day. I've been blessed now with 2 daughters and a wife who's polar opposite of me, and yeah, man, it's going to be fucking haywire around the Kulak Ranch here. So it should be interesting, to say the least.
You don't get what you want in this life; you get what you need.
Yeah, it's exactly it. That's a great quote for sure. Giving me a dose of what I put forth. So
that's right. That's for sure. And you got kids. I've got kids. Obviously, my kids are older, and it's tough to watch it. It's tough to watch what's happening, how expensive things are. new vehicles, this, that, and the other, and to watch them skid through it, it is tough. And so there's a whole demographic out there that says, we're never having kids. Why would we bring kids into this? Like, look at it, but the Lord hates a quitter. And if we don't have kids, and the only thing that's going to fix this civilization anywhere in the world, it's not going to be us. It's never going to be us. We can rant and rave all we want. It's the kids. It's the younger generation. I go back to it all the time. If you teach them right with the proper values, this and that, they're going to grow up and they're the only ones that are going to do something. And if they have proper values, they instill that in their kids, technology and the way people are high level of IQ these days, man. They've got access to everything they need. They're the only ones that's going to save this planet, because my generation just destroy it. Us money hungry penny pinching grabbers.
Yeah, just give me one more boom, eh? Just give me one more. Yeah, I've heard that so much.
I'm waiting for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Hey, Lord Longrod, you know what? Our time's coming to a close here. We're trying to keep it short, but I would like to get some of these naysayers or anybody. We always say in our comments and stuff, people that are against it or that, if they ever want to come on. And man, if you ever have somebody that wants to come on and do some battle, let's get a podcast going with a few guys. We'll have a round table.
Let's do it. I got. Let's stay in touch here for sure, man. I've got a few good creators that I've been in touch with. I don't know if you know LJ Musqua, Uncle Hack. I could see what I can do here and maybe get a little bit of a round table on the go. We'll meet up for sure. Maybe I can come in and check out your show there and we can sit down.
Anytime you come to town, make sure you let us know when you're coming. We'll roll up a red carpet for you. But let's get some of those negative guys out there. Some guys that think they know what's going on, and let's tune them in.
I'll get on the horn here right now. These people thrive on negativity, so I'll get some people on the go. I appreciate your time, man. I really enjoyed talking, and let's do that for sure.
Well, we got to close things up today, so that's a wrap. But be sure to tune in again next time for another edition of Rig Hand Radio. And in the meantime, and in between time, stay on the right side of the dirt. This is Pinchuk out.